countryside, rational explanations aren't quite so easy to come by. Oliver's Castle, Wiltshire, 1989.
There's a couple of lights down there somewhere.
This controversial film appears to show strange objects hovering above a cornfield. Below, complex circle formations appear. Retired electrical engineer Colin Andrews.
I'm going to spend the balance of the broadcast now dealing with pole shift. We live on an ever-changing world. We're hit by comets, we're hit by asteroids, solar flares. NASA admits if a direct solar flare ever points towards the Earth, it will blow out all of the satellites that are on the sunward side of the planet. That will cause serious issues. As we become more and more dependent on technology, pole movements or huge pole shifts, solar storms will affect us. And the sun is the biggest driver of climate and climatological change on this planet. And Paul Joseph Watson has put together a detailed report that we think is very important for everybody out there talking right now about pole shift. And why are we talking about it now? Well, we're talking about it now because for close to 80 years, they've been studying the magnetic fields of the poles. And the last 50 or so, there's been intense metering of them at stations around the globe. And you could spend days trying to read all of the NASA reports, Scientific American reports, the list goes on and on, Fox News reports confirming that the pole is moving and is beginning to shift. We don't know how much it's going to shift, faster than it's ever has shifted since it's been recorded. Now, that isn't as scary as it sounds. It could be, but we don't know because we don't know that it doesn't fluctuate every 50 or 100 or 75 years or randomly whenever the sun goes through different permutations of cycles. But if it shifted a few thousand miles, cataclysmic. Oceans rising. Texas could find itself where the North Pole is if there was a 3,000-mile shift. If there was a 5,000-mile shift, Texas could find itself, basically where Japan is. I mean, it's unlimited, and right now it's moving towards Russia, and it is moving. And all over the years, I heard all these scientists and people saying it was going to shift, it was moving, and there's historians that have studied it and gone into the ancient text when things like this were reported. We're going to start looking at it more because, I only go off stuff I can prove. And I don't like to get up here with, cataclysm. And I remember back in 99, Planet X will be here next year. And then it wasn't there. And then it's going to be there the next year. And people attack me for, saying that I thought it was at certain levels of fraud. Are there other planets out on the Kuiper Belt? Undoubtedly. They found hundreds of planetoids as bigger than Pluto. That's why they've delisted it as the 9th planet, because you'd have to count all those others as planets. I mean, in a way, I tend to agree with that analysis because, there's so many. But the thing is, we don't know. Now they admit, watching the Shoemaker-Levy comet that broke up and hit Saturn, that we probably get hit it could be 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 years by giant asteroids. They don't know, but they know it's more often than they previously thought, every million or so. We might be able to do something about that with space-based weapons, but then the globalists admit that they want to use it as a cover to weaponize space, then turn the weapons back on the Earth. But our technology lets us deal with that. But our technology is not going to be able to deal in the foreseeable future. I mean, that's godlike power with the sun and with its magnetic waves. And if you're watching on prisonplanet.tv, we'll put back on screen, pole shift threatens to cause weather chaos. And that's we scroll down a bit, a NASA graphic of the sun and the magnetic waves of the Earth up there at the top, the photo graphic. You can see basically the charted, measured magnetic waves of the Earth, because the Earth obviously is so massive, it creates its own gravitational system. Then you've got the Van Allen radiation belt and other things that protect us from solar radiation. Then you have, on average, in the atmosphere, from the upper areas of the atmosphere to sea level, on average around 10 feet of water. If you condensed all the water vapor down. On average, it's about 10 feet. There's several inches of rock in the atmosphere. They condense all the rock dust and potash and volcanic ash and pollen and things that are in the atmosphere, and bugs. Bugs get blown up into the sky, and they found frozen spiders and things that they've tested and that are thousands of years old that have been up there floating around. So there's several inches of rock and other particula that also is a shield that the sun has to shoot through. So we have this article dealing with the full spectrum of what we know is happening right now. And so, yes, it could be quite alarming. I mean, this could happen. And it is moving now faster and faster. Pole shift threatens to cause weather chaos. Will paying billions of dollars in carbon taxes to Al Gore and his cronies solve the problem? Because obviously they're saying all this weather and cold weather is global warming and magnetic pole changes are global warming, and pay them taxes and it'll fix it. And Paul Watson's article is very, very important, and I think everybody needs to see it. Again, pole shift threatens to cause weather chaos. According to some experts, the world's weather is about to get even more chaotic as a result of natural climate change that we can do absolutely nothing about. Because, again, if the poles start moving more, even if the Earth doesn't change its physical orientation, it will change the magnetic fields into the sun and radically change weather. If the Earth's actual axis changes, which is connected to massive pole shifting, you're talking cataclysm. I mean, you know, you're talking biblical Armageddon type stuff. And even though global warming alarmists may exploit the consequences to advance their own political agenda, paying a carbon tax to Al Gore will not lessen the impact of a potentially catastrophic mega polar shift. And again, it's being driven predominantly, scientists believe, by the sun. And in evidence, I bring you some of the reports that I have here dealing with the pole shift information. This is out of Salem-News.com. Magnetic polar shifts causing massive global superstorms. I'm going to go back into that after the break. Here's Fox News. Magnetic North Pole shifts forces runaway closures at Florida airport. Again, magnetic North Pole shift forces runway closures at Florida airport. The planet's northern magnetic pole is drifting slowly but steadily towards Russia, and it's throwing off planes in Florida. It had basically been in one spot, moved a bit, but now it's moving faster. Tampa International Airport was forced to readjust its runways Thursday to account for the movement of the Earth's magnetic fields, information, and informing the pilots who rely upon to navigate their planes. Thanks to the fluctuations in the force, the airport has closed its primary runway until January 13th. And this happened back in early January, right when those birds died. We'll be right back. But the fact is, they've had GPS for decades and haven't had on aircraft. The public's just had it the last 10 years or so. They haven't had to really change them because of magnetic changes. And that shows how much the pole has already moved. And in the last 2 years, it's been accelerating in the north towards Russia. There's also movement, big movement in the south. And that is our shield, our force field, blocking out a lot of the sun's solar winds, solar radiation. And it is scary. It is scary, but the only thing that's constant is change. There, of course, is the cataclysmic pole shift hypothesis, is the conjecture that there have been rapid shifts in the relative positions of the modern-day geographic locations of the poles and the axis of rotation of the Earth. Yeah, that's the big one. If we physically change our orientation of the sun, I mean, the U.S. could end up where Chile is, or Chile could end up where Australia is. That is in the orientation of the sun. I mean, you name it, it could happen. And there's a lot of mainline scientists that say that this is the case. There's not just little changes, there's big ones. But even a slight magnetic change, again, affects how the winds of the sun are hitting the Earth, not just the solar radiation, but the overall magnetic winds. Such a dynamic change could create calamities such as floods and tectonic events, earthquakes. This type of event would occur in the physical poles, had been or would be suddenly shifted with respect to the underlying surface over a geologically short time frame, because the tectonic plates, it's not just the planet moving in its orientation of the sun, it's the plates themselves floating around. How thick's the crust? 7, 8, 9 miles? And then the rest of it is molten rock. I'm going to come back and do 5 more minutes on this. It's clear I probably got to do a whole show just on this, multiple shows, and really burrow into it because something's happening to the poles, something's happening to the Earth's magnetic field. Stay with us. Cataclysmic pole shift hypothesis, and it goes on to say that scientists have found that in Earth's history that there is a, quote, polar wander of 1 degree per million years, but you know, they did say it was every million or so an asteroid hit us. Now they know it's could be every few thousand, every 6,000. Between approximately 790 and 810 million years ago, when the supercontinent Rhodina existed, 2 geographically rapid phases of true polar wander may have occurred. In each of these, the Earth rotated 55 degrees. That's massive. And again, this is just scientists thinking that this happens. But this is respected. I mean, they admit that there's evidence of this going on, but they're trying to say, don't worry, it was 800 million years ago. You know, don't worry, it was 200 million years ago. The geographic poles of the Earth are the points on the surface of the planet that are intersected by the axis of rotation. The pole shift hypothesis describes a change in the location of these poles with respect to the underlying surface, a phenomenon distinct from the changes in axial orientation with respect to the plane of the ecliptic that are caused by the precession and movement. So, and you add all of that with government increase in monitoring of this and opening new facilities around the world to study it. I've got a press release here by the British Geological Survey, South Atlantic Anomaly, and South Georgia Magnetic Observatory. And they're talking about all these new anomalies they're picking up and how they're building new facilities to track it. Something I'll get into tomorrow is out of NASA.gov. We actually covered this when it came out in 2008. But they've discovered that there are these magnetic pathways or portals where the magnetic fields of the sun and the Earth are actually joining and creating types of magnetic wormholes where there's all different types of variants and connections. Really heavy stuff. Magnetic portals connect Earth to the sun. That's the NASA headline. Here's Scientific American. Satellites spy changes to Earth's magnetic field. And they say, though the process can take nearly 5,000 years, the Earth's magnetic field periodically reverses. According to a report published today in Nature, scientists may have detected the beginning of the field's next such reversal. And that's when all the freakout started back in April of 2002. That's where this article is from, out of Scientific American. And now here we are 9 years later, and it is accelerating its shift. And so it could happen. I mean, it could happen. And that could be why the globalists are gearing up so much of this police state stuff as well. I mean, I've always tried to poo-poo 2012 and the rest of it, but obviously this is going to have to be looked at. But even if you don't get massive tectonic movement or a overall change in the Earth's angulation to the sun, there's the issue of the Earth's magnetic field shifting in its orientation to the sun in massive weather shifts. And that's what Paul Joseph Watson's article deals with in great detail. And so I hope people will check out that article at prisonplanet.com and get it out to everybody. Pole shift threatens to cause weather chaos. prisonplanet.com. Visit Infowars.com and prisonplanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.
Live, this is One for the Record. I'm Diana, and today is July 18th, 2013, and we have a lot of weird news today. I'm attaching a video from a guy that I guess works for the Animal Planet, a cameraman or something, and he films a mermaid. And if you go ahead and look through YouTube, they have like a close-up of this thing's face, and it's not like a human face. So you might have to put Animal Planet, mermaid caught on tape or something. Alrighty then. Also, I'm attaching more news on Nibiru. I'm also attaching more news on the pole shift. Seems like it's a lot of news out there about that now, so heads up on that. Giving you as much information that I can find on all this. Alrighty then. Let's go to the watchers watching the world. Study reveals how dust storms inside faults may contribute to earthquakes. Anthrax spreading over northern regions of Tajikistan. Tropical storm CAMERAMAN about to make landfall in southeastern China. Post-Fukushima world. Steam spotted coming out of crippled nuclear power plant. Okay. High seismic activity and ash emissions at Reventador volcano, Ecuador. Okay. Moving on. The Extinction Protocol 2012 and beyond. 6 new MERS coronavirus cases reported in UAE, Saudi Arabia. Motor City goes bust, largest ever municipal bankruptcy in U.S. history. Yes, the city of Detroit has filed Chapter 9, I believe it is, bankruptcy. Alrighty, let's see what else. Recent earthquakes in Arequipa, Peru, caused by Sabancaya volcano. Heads up. Right, moving on. Let's go into the breaking news. Let's see if anything's breaking. Flash flooding between Grand Junction and Delta, Colorado has closed Highway 50 in both directions. That's coming out of breaking weather 10 minutes ago. Also, evacuation orders in Mountain Fire are still in place despite rumors they've been lifted. Riverside County Sheriff spokeswoman says. NBCLA. Okay. Alrighty, and let's see, it's talking about freight train derails in Bronx. Metro North Hudson service suspended indefinitely. That was an hour ago. And they show a photo, mountain wildfire plume over ridge east of Idlewild, California, thickening. Tampa City Council passes ban on aggressive panhandling. Wow. Alrighty then, that's in Florida. Alright. Let's go into the E&E News, Energy News. What's happening in Fukushima today? Wow, alarm as steam rises from Fukushima number 3 reactor. Concerned about uncontrolled chain reaction. Contains highly lethal MOX fuel. TEPCO, we don't believe an emergency situation is breaking out. Alarm as steam rises from Fukushima number 3 reactor. Concern about uncontrolled chain reaction. Contains highly lethal MOX fuel. That's the plutonium, you guys. TEPCO, we don't believe an emergency situation is breaking out. Incompetent. Why are they still running this stuff? Why are they still running the show? Alright. Let's go into U.S. Canada. Problem at another cavern and salt dome near Giant Louisiana Sinkhole. Automatic emergency systems engaged. No immediate safety risk to public. Alright then. So, it's the eve of Friday. It's 4 days down, 1 to go before the weekend. Hang in there. We're almost there. Please be safe. Don't be by anything that might not be safe. From sinkholes to nuclear plants. And I'm going to show you what's going on with the Nibiru and pole shift. I'll give you an update. I haven't done that for a while. Alrighty then. Take care. I'm looking outside. There's something like flying by and flashing. Kind of strange. It's probably a helicopter. Alright, take care. And I'll see you tomorrow on the flip side.
Hello again, human beings from the planet Earth. We're looking at a video that I just watched recently and that I want you to watch as well. Mr. Maverick Star, fine gentleman that I've been watching for well over a year. I don't know exactly. But he's been tracking the whole progression of the magnetic pole. And according to his calculations, we have 6 months until we go through a magnetic pole flip, which he estimates will take approximately 6 hours and obviously would wreak havoc on the Earth and weather patterns and all kinds of things. Now, I don't want you to look at this for a fear-mongering point of view, but we're going to connect some dots. The whole Mayan thing, I thought, and there was a school of thought that believed that whole prediction was about a year off. And I didn't fully understand the math, and I don't have a link. I'm just telling you what I remember. And what I think myself is that, you know, some change is coming and that it was about a year off approximately. So that would meet with this approximate timeline of what Mr. Maverick Star is saying. Couple that with the recent request of Obama in agreement with Putin to send 15,000 Russian troops here for an event. And we see, you know, it's debated whether earthquakes and weather patterns on the uptick, downtick, but my just general feeling is that something isn't quite right. I've thought that for several years when I look at the moon and just different stuff. Certain things don't feel normal or natural. I'm just talking from an animalistic point of view. Okay, so you trolls, you can just diminish that and thumbs down the video and go back to sleep. The rest of you, please come over here and take my recommendation that, to my knowledge, Mr. Maverick Star is very credible. And what I like is, if you look back on his other videos, you will see that he tries to create simple experiments that anybody could start to understand his science and his thesis, which I think is awesome. Now, he has been discredited from trolls because of that, because it's so simplistic. But I think that makes him very, very real. To me, I don't question him at all, and I rely on his information. And I want you to go watch this video. And I want you to start putting away some food and other preparations. I want you to start talking to yourself and opening up your heart to be able to help the guy next to you, because he's going to need it. Anyway, much love. Many thanks. The link to this video will be below, and please share this information with everybody, whether they're awake or not. Doesn't matter. The science says they need to wake the fuck up, and they need to do it very, very soon. Much love, and I'll see you soon.
And you've got to put your body upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you
Look at the tree. Oh my god. Feels like you're getting attacked.
I know, it's pushing forward.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Look at this.
Like icicles? Yeah, it's like an icicle. See? Isn't that cool?
Nikki, look! Nikki, it's really pushing in. Michael, get away from it. It's just pushing and pushing and pushing.
I should probably pile this burn truck a little bit.
Here, put this in there. No, we should move it, Nick. I don't know, but glass table, hello? Just put it right here up against this, though. Oh, look at that.
It's gonna shatter the windows. Okay, take it on the push.
Oh, it stopped.
It's not gonna stop though.
What? How is it doing this?
Because the water's moving. The lake opened up, see? So the water, when the wind is pushing, the water's pushing all this up here. Look at it. You know how long it's going to take to melt all
It
this?
sounds like a train.
Yeah. Last night it sounded like a tornado going through. When it all broke loose. Look at it. Look at that. It's a solid piece of ice.
No, but would you go get the paper out of the car so I can show Nikki? That is crazy. Ooh, oh! Just busted that spout off. Nikki, it just busted that gutter off that house.
This is going to be a bad year.
You know what though? It's not going to really come and get yours too much because of those trees.
No, but look at all that ice that's yet here to come.
Oh God. Is this
all
going to
coming
keep
off
doing
that.
this like all day?
Yep. Look at that. Everybody's recording it. Look at that way over there.
Oh God.
This is going to do so much damage to the foundation and stuff. People aren't going to be able to build the houses.
Look at it. It's
Look
just
at-
plowing over that bush.
Yeah. Look at how it's moving too. It's just going this.
It's plowing that bush over. Look, there it goes.
Yeah, it's just like this. Like a little onion.
It's hitting the houses. It's crawling up the walls of the houses.
Yeah. This is gonna be really bad because we have a whole lake of ice that's gonna come up. Look at that tree. I wonder how they're gonna stop it. Oh, there you go. Breakfast and bus straight shot in. Really fast and bushy.
There it goes, hitting that people's house. Yeah, it's up against it. Nikki! Look, because it's stopping, it's piling up. Because it's stopping, it's piling up. Because the house is stopping it from moving. Yeah, it's over at that house. Oh, shit. Oh my god, their door's in! Nikki, it just busted through a door over here! All the way through, the door's caving! Look at that! It's going right through their fucking house! Oh, you need to call somebody!
I don't know who to call. The village isn't open.
911! No, 911's not gonna help, but it's going into their house. Okay. It's just went into their house.
That's Paul Fink's unit right there.
Call him.
No,
you got his number?
That's his.
I know, but does anybody know who lives there? Michael, get away from it.
He's trying to break the ice.
Oh my god, you hear that? Nikki, it's still moving into that house.
I can't do nothing about it, Darla. The village is closed. I can call the fire department. That'd probably be the best so that no gas lines bust. Can I call the fire department?
Do you know who lives over here? Because it went through their door.
They went through their whole house.
Nothing?
It is the 11th of the 7th, 2011. This is today's climate change update. I'm going to begin with bringing up the last video I put out, or the video response to the question, is the pole shifting? I'm not in disagreement about the pole is actually shifting. I do have videos on that. I will attach this video to one of the better ones, just so you can understand that the pole is shifting. The question is, how fast? With that in mind, let me begin with this story. Italy's Mount Etna volcano spewed lava on to its southeastern slope on Saturday afternoon, and windswept ash stopped flights in Cantina's airport. The strong eruption was Etna's fifth since the beginning of this year. It last erupted in May. Listen to this. Sicilians were quick to blame the volcano after thousands noticed that their clocks and watches for the computers and alarm clocks were running 15 minutes fast. Now these are electronic clocks. The speed up was spotted when large numbers of locals started turning up for work early. Interesting indeed. I will provide the link over to Let's Do Energy News. They have tonight, elderly woman hangs herself over New
June the 20th, obviously. We have come around in orbit, and we were beyond outside orb position. We were just about right here. And the seismic chart that I wanted to show you, let me see if I can get there from here. This is what I wanted to show you on that. I'm going to come back to this lead article where I wrote the NASA representative here in a second. It's just about right here. Earthquakes. Here's my indicator quakes, 2.5 to 4 magnitudes. The reason is because a high percentage of these quakes these quake events take place around the periphery of the calderas that are bulging. So when the earth heats up, calderas bulge. The relief mechanism for the pressure is the lava tubes. Lava tube plugs break, and that increases and decreases these indicator quakes right here. So I anticipated there would be about 150, 160 of these quakes this week. We had 182 last week, 177, 218. The high number of these quakes, this took place, see 341 right here. That took place at the crossing, just as exactly as it's supposed to. When we cross right in the headlights of this thing on the near orbit side, that's what happens. May the 17th is when I thought that happened, and because this number came just a little bit later, then I have added a few days to this thing. Is a little bit farther left in the orbit diagram than I anticipated, and so instead of May 17th for next year, that date is going to be moved to May the 20th, and then I'll watch the indicators again to see if that has to be moved out. What I'm actually doing is moving the elliptical curve of the inbound object out. Let me get back to that picture. Right now it is on the left side. See, May the 20th, 2014, that's the crossing convergence date. If you draw an elliptical curve, that's where it crosses, comes around the perihelion, around here on this side, and then the object leaves again. So I'm having to add days to the cycle. We had 188 days through this period. Now it's 192 days. I expect that number is going to enlarge for the next orbit cycle. You see how this wedge between these two events has grown. These are pretty consistent. Now I'm expecting this to grow too in proportion. And that's why I'm saying that May the 20th, 2015 looks like a crossing. It looks like a crossing right here. You see how this is getting larger? This is geometric. It creates areas in the from drawing segments in the elliptical curve. When you draw those segments, you get areas. So this is based upon the increased velocity of the object that's coming in from the center of the Virgo constellation. So through this period coming up, I'm expecting these 7 magnitude quakes to go on the big increase. We just saw one right here. You notice all the zeros. These are very uncommon events. The lots and lots of zeros that we're not getting. I'm expecting to see 1s and even 2s with a 0 every now and then through this next 3-month period, and for this number 9 to just about double over the next 3 months. That's what I'm expecting to happen. And let's see, another thing on the chart that's important, this blue line here, something that I wrote the NASA scientist about, is that the magnetosphere is going to develop an extra ring through this period. And the reason, I think I've got it figured out, the black star Earth magnetic portal connection that's connected to our planet, see the black stars over here. Well, as we come around in orbit, this magnetic portal connection between the two stars and the one that's connected to our planet from the black star, they converge. And as they do, it appears that we're seeing subatomic particle transmission from the primary two-star magnetic portal connection directly into the black star Earth magnetic portal connection, especially where the angle is very, very sharp and small at the beginning here. And as these converge, then what you get, because the inbound object is coming in our direction. See, we're in the headlights of this thing, and we have a Doppler effect where the waves are piling up and pushing through. This magnetic portal connection is pulsating, and as this happens and the two magnetic portal connections come together, then our magnetosphere develops an extra belt as a protective mechanism against the external effect of the inbound black star. So the protection of our sun, of our Earth, from the sun's waves, the subatomic particle flows, is created by the sun itself through the magnetic portal connection. So as the sun is robust, we receive more magnetism, electromagnetism, and the magnetosphere enlarges, becomes more powerful to protect us. As the sun is waning, which it is right now in solar cycle 24, the heliosphere has shrunk by 25% in 1 decade. Then Earth magnetosphere weakens proportionately. However, the secondary star is siphoning off energy from the sun, which is the cause of solar cycle 24 being a dud, and the Earth is being protected by the extra electromagnetism by the development of this extra belt. So this is a defense mechanism, but it happens automatically. As this other star gets closer, we can expect this extra belt to become larger because the Earth requires more protection. And then whenever the two connections, then whenever they cross each other, then something happens and there's a disconnect. So that shortly afterwards, the magnetosphere is going to develop this extra belt, but it's going to dissipate. The Earth comes behind the sun. We are protected from the dark star by the electromagnetism of the sun itself and the solar wind. So the Earth doesn't need the protection around on this side of the orbit. So I'm expecting that the development period is going to move around the horn just like the rest of my values. Okay, so last year this ring developed on September the 2nd, and I believe since the object is now farther left in the orbit diagram, that on this side that the extra belt is going to develop later in the timeline. That would have been 11 days later, but now we're adding days because this thing is moving left faster. Okay, so watch for this development. Watch for the increase, sharp increase as we move on. The Earth is maintaining equilibrium very well through here, as evidenced by what you see in this chart. Okay, see these values, they're really jumping. The average is now below 200. We have spaces in here where the average is around 200. Now that average is creeping down, but that average is going to begin creeping up again, and we're going to see 200, 250, 290 of these indicator quakes as we're on the back side, because what we're measuring is the Earth's ability to maintain equilibrium. Okay, so let me show you a little bit about what I wrote as the feature article. Just wrote it this morning. I wrote the NASA representative. His name is Douglas Rowland, and the way that I came in contact with him is through this video. The link is in the newsletter, and the Sue made a call, and this fellow is very cordial, he's very intelligent. I believe that his working group, that his group there at NASA, that's part of the puppet government. I believe that they're compartmentalized, and they don't even really understand the impact, the broad spectrum that they're actually covering for somebody else. This is the way the Council on Foreign Relations under the House of Rothschild works. That's how they use the puppet government. So they keep them compartmentalized, they work under certain parameters and protocols, and they don't even know how their research is being utilized. And so what I did in the newsletter is I wrote him, and I think many of you are going to find this very interesting. From the information that I sent Galen a few weeks ago, that was also in the newsletter, evidence with links down here. This is how I'm making the case of the evidence, but I'm giving commentary up here at the top because I want to show the NASA representative how his research, how I believe his research is being used. What they're doing is he's admitting to chemtrailing that has been going on for quite some time, and the reason for using lithium in the upper atmosphere. And the reason is going to be, well, one of the same reasons that they use barium. It's a contrast medium. They're wanting to identify the effects of interaction of the magnetosphere and the upper atmosphere. That's what they're trying to figure out, what's going on. And the reason is because there's a lot of anomalous activity up there. And that's one of the reasons that magnetic portal connections were addressed by NASA in 2008, again in 2011 and 2012, because there's something mysterious that's happening up there, lowering of the clouds, the shrinking of the heliosphere, shrinking of the weakening of the magnetosphere. And I include information on the scrubbed information on the magnetosphere flipping around, and the links are down below. The Dropbox folder link to the large file showing the magnetopause reversal. And my point to him is that all of these things are related. They're all tied together. And I'm wondering about the protocols and parameters associated, the guidelines that are associated with his research, and if there are key periods in the year where they have more activity more than others. And I would expect that to be near outside orb position when we see a flip-flop of the magnetic portal connections. I would expect that to be on the backside when Earth is in backside orbit to the black star relative to the sun. And the reason would be because of the interaction between the magnetic portal connections. Whenever they're making right angles, when they're flip-flopping from opposite sides of the Earth to the same side of the Earth, when we're seeing the mass animal deaths, they have magnetite in their tissues, and it's the magnetism that they're looking for, that they're looking at. And I do believe that he's part of a larger series of working groups that are working to try to understand the geological pole shift that's coming and the indicators that point to it. That's what I think is happening. Although I believe that he's part of the sleepers, I call them sleepers. So they are working on research related directly to the underground Arc City program, but they don't realize it. And so this is my attempt to sow a few seeds and to help some that are working inside the government, sleepers. They're not invited to the underground Arc City program, but they're doing work for it. They're being oriented and they're being trained actually for deployment into harm's way is what I'm thinking. So I think you guys will find this is quite a bit of good commentary and a lot of evidence. You can run your own investigation. I connect chemtrailing to Rockefeller Rothschild eugenics program. Vaubert had questions. I just love Vaubert to death. She has questions on Voyager and the barrier that's out there that they're discovering. There's another void, and there's going to be another Helios, there's going to be another electromagnetic belt that's out there that is causing the void. And that's what I believe is going to be one of the next discoveries. I add the story here to give her questions meaning, and lots and lots and lots of information. There's Bible questions here and with answers. So I expected to start the radio shows again in August, and that is pretty much going to be my update for this week. If I see something important, then I will make another video, and see you guys next time.